Well, hey everyone, Grayson here from Wildwood's Honeybee Farms, and today we're going to be getting into the bee yard and get into a hive. And I want to show you guys how to manipulate your frames while you are in a beehive, because sometimes whenever you're moving around frames, there's rumors and there's things that are being spread on the internet that you have to put everything back the way you found it. And I don't think it really matters, but for people who do want to be precise on manipulating frames, I do got some tips to share with you guys to manipulate frames while in a beehive. And whenever you're handling your boxes, which way should you turn them, or should you put them back the way you found them, or mismatch frames. All the good things that you probably want to learn in today's video will be here for manipulating frames. Let's go ahead and get into the beehive, and let me show you how to manipulate your frames while you are in your beehive. So this is the hive that we're going to be demonstrating to you guys about how to manipulate your frames. And like I said earlier, there are a lot of things said about manipulating your frames that, you know, your frames have to be, you have to manipulate them to the point where you can put them back the same way you found them. And that's something that I really don't think you have to do. I don't think you have to put them back. And there's a lot of studies that have shown now that if you manipulate your frames and, you know, kind of move them around sometimes, because a lot of times when you're getting into a hive and moving frames, trying to inspect your hive, there will be some times where you move frames, and a lot of times people will say that, hey, you need to put them back the way you found them. And there's a lot of studies now that say that the bees don't really care. And in my experience in beekeeping, because I've been keeping bees 7 years, and those 7 years of beekeeping, I've been in hives all the time, manipulating frames, trying to move them around, trying to inspect a hive, and I accidentally, you know, move them back and forth and stuff, and, you know, get them all mixed up. It really doesn't harm the bees whatsoever, from what I find. Sometimes some beekeepers say there's different things. And one thing I know in this hive has a real big beetle issue. So we got a beetle blaster in here, so that's what we're trying to get, all these beetles under control. And I just stand here all day trying to smash these things. I could spend all day here trying to smash these hive beetles because they're so annoying. And this hive has them the worst. And I need to put 2 beetle blasters in here, so next time I come out here to this hive, I'm going to put 2 beetle blasters out here. That will help this hive out a lot. I don't know where these hive beetles are really producing at, because there's no beetle larvae in this hive. This hive is kind of a little bit too strong for these beetles. So I think they just come in here, you know, and, you know, just do stuff and try to eat honey and stuff. And they're all in these cracks. And I try to smash them. And I don't want to spend my time here trying to smash beetles all day, but at the same time, that's what I do every time I come to this hive, is smash these beetles. So I need to try to put some more beetle blasters in here, like a whole bunch of them, like 3 or 4 or 5 even, maybe. And these beetle blasters do have some beetles in them. Oh, we'll try to smash a lot of them later on. We smashed a whole bunch of them. But, you know, we probably need to refill this up with the beetle oil that we fill it up with. Now, what we'll do is we'll take this out of our way, because we don't want to be manipulating frames. Now look at all those beetles in that one right there. You see that? Look at all those beetles. Man, look at all those beetles. That's really a lot of beetles. I need to refill this up with some more oil, so then, you know, so then it won't be too much and, you know, they'll overdo. But that's not what we're here for, is beetles. We'll do another video, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking about beetle blasters and all that whatnot. So we'll do a video about that, talking about beetle blasters. I think that'd be a fun video. But back to the topic. So whenever I get into my hives, I'll open the lid, of course, what you usually do. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 frames in your 10 frame box. And what I always do, this is what I've done all the time, is I'll come over here and pry up this frame on the very end, either one. I'll just pry it open, take it out. Of course, this is the frame that usually has nothing or honey on it. That's what it always does. You see the bees are on it, and that lets me know that there's no queen on this frame, because queen will never come really on the end frame. So that goes within manipulating frames, is if you go on the outside one, you have a less chance of accidentally smashing your queen in the future. So like whenever you lift this up, you don't want to lift this first frame, because there is a good possibility the queen is right here and you may roll the queen, and that will not be a good situation for you. rolling the queen won't really kill her. It will just sometimes harm her to the point where if you do it too much, it could kill her. So all precautions is necessary to keep your queen from, being smashed or anything. Then what we'll do is we'll pry our frame over this way. We have more room now that we can space these out evenly, so then we don't have to worry about smashing or rolling the queen. So this has honey on it, and this frame is a frame that probably won't have the queen either, because this frame is an outsider frame, so that tells me that, hey, this frame just needs to go on this side. So then what I'll do is I'll just push this one on the very end and start working my way over. And manipulating frames, this is how you manipulate your frames. And now we got to the brood. So this is cat brood. Cat brood along with all the bees. We have nectar. We got eggs on the bottom, very bottom of the frame. This side we got some nectar and more brood. But from what I'm looking at it, there does not seem to be a queen on this exact frame. There's more brood hatching right now. This ain't my biggest hive. I probably need to feed them a little bit more, keep them rearing brood. That's why I'm trying to get these beetle levels down, because that's just going to end up weakening the hive even more. And we got more nectar. Nothing's going to be here. And now that we're making our way, we're just moving all the frames over this way, out of the way. So when we have a frame of room that we can keep on moving frames over to inspect the colony. And doing this allows you to have more room to inspect your frames and make sure your queen is doing good, make sure you don't smash your queen or roll the queen like I said earlier. Rolling the queen doesn't necessarily kill her, or maybe sometimes it doesn't even harm her, but we try to avoid that as much as possible, because it can, in some cases, kill her or harm her or damage her wings or whatever. It sometimes will, it's just something that we want to try to avoid at all costs. So being careful like that and moving these frames over instead of just pulling up frames without even manipulating them like this, how I'm doing, it increases our chance of keeping the queen alive. So, you're trying to keep your queen alive. One way of doing that is manipulating your frames as I'm doing. Here we go. We got a whole bunch of bees over here. Look at all that brood. More brood. This is a good drawn out foundation. And as you can see, this right down here is not drawn out all the way. Since we are in the derf, there's not much nectar coming in. They are slowly drawing this stuff out. They're not drawing it out as fast as we would like them to, since we are in a derf. But hey, that's good enough for the time being. We have, I see some eggs in here. So the queen has been here in the past day. Maybe even 12 hours ago, she was here. The eggs are standing up that we see in here. Those eggs let us know that, hey, there's a queen that's been here, which is very good. I've done a video on this hive. This hive is a really good hive. Very good genetics, very good queen, good laying patterns. Everything about this hive I like. They are doing a very good job. And while I'm manipulating more of these frames, pulling them over, another thing that I hear sometimes is you probably don't want to rotate the box. So what I mean by rotating the box is sometimes whenever you have double deeps and you set it down, sometimes people say don't turn these around, or no rotating boxes. And that's another thing I was going to talk about real quick while we're getting more into this, is rotating the boxes, or making much of a difference is what we're really talking about. Doesn't really necessarily harm the bees whatsoever. I don't think so. In my years of beekeeping, I found that it does not matter. And studies show, there's new documents stating that, hey, it doesn't matter about, making sure that we put everything in the hive as it is and making sure the boxes are back as normal. It doesn't really matter. And if you do, don't worry about it. And we've had a lot of studies that show that, and I agree with that. I don't really think it's a big of a deal of rotating the boxes. And just, sometimes I'll accidentally, move frames all around and, get them all mixed up. Of course, sometimes it's good to be neat, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's good to be neat, try to keep things where they are, but sometimes it really doesn't matter, to be honest. And we're not talking just about that. What I mean by manipulating frames is trying to come in here and configure these frames. We've done configure, like, these 5 frames are full of brood. These frames are not brood. This right here is not brood either. I've had a video on frame configurations and half configurations. If you guys want to go check that out, I'll try to leave that in the description for y'all to go check that out. That's a good video about configurations. We're just talking about frame configurations, configuring the frames, trying to keep them as good as we can, and make sure we don't kill the queen. So, killing the queen while, you know, just pulling up a frame, that can happen real easily. Sometimes the queens can be caught on the edges here. If you just pull the frame out, sometimes she can get caught in there or something, and you can accidentally harm the queen. That has happened a lot of times in the past. And this is a frame full of brood. Ain't that a good frame of brood? I love this hive. This hive I really like. And I have not found the queen. I have not really been paying much attention trying to look for her. I've just been talking about, you know, doing these manipulations, frame manipulations in half to avoid killing the queen or killing bees. And when you're pulling, or whenever you're dropping your frame to put it back in place, make sure to be real careful about it. Because if you see these end bars here, I don't know if you can really see, I'll do it on this side. There's a little space. Bees are on the wall, and if you push it all the way over here, you're going to smash the bees on that railing to the box. I hope you guys can understand that. But that has happened to me all the time, and that's a tip I would also give whenever you're manipulating your frames, is to be careful, slow and steady, work slow. Whenever you're putting your frames down, that will help you out a lot to not smash as many bees. And whenever you are doing all this manipulating, going into the hive, inspecting it, that's going to happen all the time to you. So, that's just going to happen. So this is just a frame of, nothing really. Just little wax they're drawing out, nothing much. And what I mean, you see, just go slow and steady. Make sure you don't have any bees stuck right here. Make sure you don't have any over here where you smash bees. Because, this time of year, all the bees that you have is really, important. Look at all these beetles trapped back here. Trying to smash all these beetles while I'm here. This is the last frame that we have back here. Look at that. Beautiful comb that they're drawing out. More comb right here that they're drawing out as well. And we've come to the end of our hive inspection. Now we're going to put this frame right here. Then we have our frame that we pulled out. We know that the queen is not on this frame or this frame because we've checked and it's honey. Put this one in nice and steady. Make sure you don't smash any bees. That's how you manipulate your frames while you are in a beehive to avoid killing the queen, killing bees. And, killing the bees, one thing about what I mean why we don't want to kill the bees, not just because, we don't want to kill them, it's because whenever we accidentally smash a bee, that will give a pheromone to the other hives, to the other bees in that hive, that, hey, they killed one of our bees, one of our foragers, one of our nurse bees by, they think it was on purpose or something, and they will give an attack pheromone. They'll, kind of get a little bit more riled up about that. So avoiding smashing bees sometimes is good, but hey, one thing is that every time when you're in a hive, I kill a couple bees in a hive sometimes. It's unavoidable. We can't not avoid it. Sometimes it's just impossible not to kill any bees. So please don't take my talking in a bad way. We're just trying to, be careful while we're in the hive, not killing many bees. But if you do accidentally kill a bee in the hive, don't worry about it whatsoever. It happens all the time. Just don't want you guys to, take my words in a different bad way. Well, I hope you guys found that interesting. Manipulating frames is something that is a good topic in beekeeping. Something good to know how to do, and how to manipulate your frames while you are in your beehives or whatever beehive you're in, because I have 10 right now, and it's good to know how to manipulate those frames while you are in the hive. So I hope you guys found it interesting and enjoyable, and I hope you found some kind of information. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. We'll catch you guys on the next beekeeping video.